Hi everybody, my name is Jaden,
I'm Eli.
I'm Jason.
I'm Caden.
and we are the Yahoo and the Torah YouTube channel.
And it is a first day on the week of that we are on this week, and we hope that you guys are doing well. Miss Nicole's laughing at me because I couldn't get my words out right, so here we are stuttering off at the beginning of this week. But we hope that you guys are truly well. Yesterday was a great Shabbat, and we hope that you guys all celebrated Shabbat yesterday, and it is again, a first day, and these are the days where people believe that you need to go into a building made with by hands of man, and that you need to pay a guy 10% because the guy that is standing up at this little set of boxes at the top is some sort of spiritual leader, and he has been ordained by our Creator. And for anybody that reads scriptures, it is not anything like that. If you're going to a church on a Sunday, that is not a Shabbat day. Our Creator's not hanging out with you there. But there is Hasatan, and he will absolutely hang out there with you, and he will hang out and give you that warm feeling when the pianos are going, the people are singing, the lights are going, the drummer's drumming, and you will all feel like you all have the Ruach HaKodesh, and this is a holy convocation. But then you realize that it is all satanic by the doctrine that you actually read, and that is a problem. And when I say satanic by the doctrine that you read, if you believe that the laws, statutes, and commandments found in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy have been destroyed, have been put away, have been nailed to the cross, and they don't apply to you anymore, I hate to break it to you, but that is a satanic doctrine. That doctrine is from the pits of hell, and the greatest things in our lives is the law, statutes, and commandments. It's the way forward. It's the way that we should be living, acting, breathing, conducting ourselves, the way that we should be worshiping. Everything that we need to be doing is in those first 5 books. Now, a lot of people will go, well, you only need Jesus the Christ. You only need Messiah Yahushua. And it's very, very clear that when you read scriptures, and just one specific verse is Matthew 7, and it says from the mouth of our Messiah himself, he says that those who are lawless, those who are Torah-less, will be told to go to hell. They will be told to depart. They'll be told to kick rocks. So what we're trying to prevent is as many people from hearing that as possible, because so many people think they know Jesus the Christ. So many people think they can cast out demons by his name. They think they have a walk with him. But when you compare that to what Scripture says, it oftentimes seems that we are all very short of what the goal should be. And so we are that family that's sitting here trying to convince all of you guys that there's a better way. Now, I had a question for you guys. Why do we do this exactly? And just kind of off the cuff, any one of you guys, why do we sit here every single morning, every single day, sometimes a couple times a day? Why are we doing this? This channel is not monetized. Nothing that we have is monetized. We don't make a dime from anything. We don't even have a spot to donate. The only place that we have to donate, which we barely just set up, is if you want to give prisoners scriptures, then there's a spot to donate, and you can help us get scriptures into prisons. That's the only way. But we do this all for the fun of it. And there's not a ton of you guys out there, so it's not like we're a huge channel or anything. So why, gentlemen, do we do this?
Because we were told to feed the sheep. We were told, Yehoshua talking to Peter, he says, if you love me, feed my sheep, and we can apply that to our lives. And if we love the Messiah, we can feed the sheep. We know the commands, we know the Torah, and people don't, so we have an opportunity to teach them what they don't know.
Yeah, and that is our Messiah put it as best, is let's not teach men, let's teach them essentially how to find our Creator, right? And that is essentially what our Messiah taught us, is how to find our Creator, how to get back. And his doctrine, the doctrine of our Messiah, is not different than the doctrine of the Torah. The Old Testament is the New Testament concealed. The New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. And so it is not 2 sets of books. It is one single book that if you read as a whole book, it makes sense. You can't start 7/8 way through the book and jump into it and think that you're going to understand anything about the book. It's the same with any kind of novel that you guys get. It's the same with any kind of anything. You don't just go to the middle of the book. If you buy something, some high-tech gadget, and you have to read the tech manual, You don't skip to the very end of it and you're already into the configuration. You got to figure out how to get this thing out of the box, how to get it set up properly, and how to get it rocking and rolling. And that same concept applies to us and our lives in all of this. Okay, let's get a brief recap, if anyone can remember, from last week where we are at with the writings of Abraham.
So we talked about Abraham and his generations, and how he was a baby, and then moves on to him growing up, getting raised with Noah and Shem. He learns the ways of Yahuwah because his fathers did not. But since he learned the ways of Yahuwah and his father not, his father has idol worship. He is like a vice president to Nimrod. He's an evil person, and he goes and destroys his dad's idols and tells him that the big idol destroyed the little idols over a piece of meat. And Terach says, hey, my son who wandered away is now back. I welcome him back, but he is destroying my idols and destroying our religion.
Yeah, and so right now, where is Abraham in this story? Do you guys remember?
He's in front of Nimrod right now, like being questioned by Nimrod. Like, what are you doing?
Yep, yeah. So his dad took him to Nimrod, and now he's in front of the sovereign of the earth at that point. And let's begin. Everyone ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. 42. When the sovereign heard my words and the prayer I uttered, he ordered me to be cast into the prison until he had determined what to do with me. And the prayer that he uttered was right before that. And so let me go through that. Let's start with 41. Then I lifted up my hands to the Shamayim and prayed, saying, O Yahuwah Elohim, thou who sees all the ways of the wicked and will bring every evil deed into judgment, look upon these evil ones and destroy them, that the whole earth be not corrupted by them and brought to destruction. Now 42. When the sovereign heard my words and the prayer which I uttered, he ordered me to be cast into the prison house until he had determined what to do with me. And after 10 days the sovereign gathered together all his counselors and rehearsed unto them all these things concerning me. And when he had rehearsed all things unto them, he asked them, saying, What judgment shall such one who hath reviled the sovereign and our mighty ones and our holy order? And they returned judgment unto him, saying, The man who revileth the sovereign should be hanged from a tree until he is dead. And the tree then fell to the ground, while all the people shall shout. Thus shall it befall him who revileth the sovereign. But this man hath not only reviled the sovereign, but also our mighty ones and our holy order. And according to our law, such one shall be cast into a furnace of fire until he be consumed, that naught remain of him in the earth. Let therefore the fire be increased in the sovereign's furnace, which is in Kasdim, where the sovereign's bricks are made, and let this blasphemer be cast in the fire, that he be consumed. 43. The sovereign so commanded, and for 3 days and 3 nights was the fire preparing in Kasdim. And at the end of that time I was brought forth from the prison to be cast therein. Nevertheless, while I was in the prison, Yahuwah sent his messengers to minister unto me, and to comfort me. And they said unto me, Fear not, Abraham, for thy work is not yet finished, for thou shalt become the father of many nations, and thou shalt preach the Besorah in far places. Even in the land of Mitzrayim shalt thou declare the mysteries of thy Elohim. What is Besorah, gentlemen?
Good news.
The good news. Okay, 3. And though they cast thee into the furnace, is not Yahuwah able to deliver thee therefrom? For through thy deliverance shall many be brought to bow down and worship Yahuwah, thy Elohim, and forsake the evils of Nimrod. You want to have anything at all?
Not yet. Just getting a little poverty. You know, he knows he's not going to die. Like he knows he's about to get thrown into a fire. But he's like, you won't die. So he
think he's nervous.
I think he'd be
I'm
like.
sure anybody would be nervous. Even if you have like a great faith, right? You see that fire. So it's gonna be like there's gonna be a thought in my mind. Like, am I gonna burn to death here?
Yeah, and it's going to be, for anybody who obviously doesn't know, burning to death is probably one of the worst ways to go. Obviously, it depends on the heat and time and all that. Okay, 44. Therefore I came forth from the prison, confident in the power of my Elohim, and in his promise that I should be delivered from the fire. But as I came forth, the astrologers of the sovereign looked upon me, and by the power of Satan they recognized me, for they saw me clothed in light. And they cried out unto the sovereign, saying, O sovereign of all the earth, surely this is the man of whom we spake unto thee 50 years ago, that he should rise up to overthrow thy reign. Wherefore was he not slain? These guys have like really good memories of 50 years, and they're all still alive, right?
Their eyes are really good still.
Yeah, I mean, this 50 years ago. I mean, in the world that we are in today, 50 years, that's have more than half a lifetime for most of us. nowadays. Time is obviously getting shorter and shorter, and we are dying earlier and earlier. Okay, anyone else have anything?
Nope.
45. Hearing these words, the sovereign was greatly troubled, and calling my father Turok before him, he exclaimed, "Is this then thy son who was to have been slain? And what child then did I slay at his birth? Speak now the truth, and thou shalt go free. But if thou speakest not the truth, thou shalt die with thy son." And Nimrod caused my father to swear concerning the matter. And my father answered the sovereign, saying, "My sovereign, I am guilty. For because of my tender feelings toward my son, I did substitute for him the son of my concubine who was born on the same night." The sovereign's wrath mounted, and in his anger he cried, "Who advised thee to do this thing? Surely that man shall die." My father, being terrified at the sovereign's anger, said, "It was my son, Haran, who so advised me." Now Haran had not advised my father of anything, but the Ruach of Yahuwah had wrought upon my father that he was loath to give me up to the sovereign. So,
We talk about
let's talk about this real
we
quick.
talk about Terok's little cowardice here.
Yeah,
Like, he threw all his kids in the fire, dude.
Well, that's the thing is I guess Nimrod just wanted an extra person to kill, right? Because he was so ticked off.
Angry dude to kill.
I mean, he should have just taken the beating. Why take your son? You know Nimrod's already killing Abraham. He's not going to do anything nice to Haran.
He's scared to death, and he lets his kids get killed.
You know, it was my other son, my oldest son. This one, Nahor. Not Nahor. Haran. Nahor lives.
Yeah,
I'm sure he would have thrown him under the bus if he could too.
yeah. Well, these are these things you don't have. You got brief seconds of time to figure this one out, and
he should have just said, "I did it," but
Just taking like the evilest man in the world or something, like the biggest enemy in Nimrod, be like, this guy.
yeah. Well, now it's like this is crazy. Okay, 7. Nevertheless, Haran was privy to what my father had done, and Haran was one of the believers in the true Elohim of the Shemaim, but his heart was not firm, nor his faith sure. Wherefore Haran said in his heart, "If Abram be delivered from the furnace, then shall I know that Elohim of Abraham is indeed the true Elohim." Wherefore Haran wavered in his faith, and his confidence waxed not great in the Most High Elohim. But my confidence was secure, for I knew that it rested upon the rock of my deliverance, and that the word of Elohim faileth not. Now when the sovereign heard the words of my father, he caused that Haran should also be taken with me. And leading us to the valley of Kasdim, they stripped us of all our clothing, and bound us with cords, and cast us into the fire. Now Haran, because his faith was not perfect in Yahuwah his Elohim, was consumed in the fire, that no trace of his body remained. But my faith remained firm in Yahuwah. And he sent his messengers to sustain me, and release me from my bonds. And I was 3 days and 3 nights in the furnace with the messengers, conversing with them, and being instructed by them. After the 3rd day, the sovereign sent his servants to govern that the fire, that it might again be used for making brick. But when they came up to the furnace, behold, I was sitting therein, conversing with the messengers whom Elohim had sent. Therefore the servants of the sovereign, being greatly astonished, went and told him of this matter, but he would not believe them. However, when the men persisted in their tale, and showed great consternation, sovereign Nimrod himself came unto the furnace, but the messengers had departed, and I sat alone in the flames. When he saw me therein unconsumed, the sovereign cried out in alarm, "O Abraham, art thou a sorcerer greater than ours, that thou shouldest live in the flames unconsumed?" But I answered him.
He knows you should burn up.
But I answered him, "Not so, O sovereign, but Elohim of the Shemaim, who is true, who is the true Elohim above all, hath sent his messengers unto me, and hath preserved me from this fire." Being much amazed, the sovereign exclaimed, "Come forth then from the fire, for I see that no power of mine can harm thee."
So it seems like even with Nimrod's spell casting and everything he can do, he's still getting burned by fire.
He's still astonished that things aren't being burnt by fire. Yeah, he's definitely, and so, they have all these, we know from the days of the Egyptians, right? That they can turn blood into water. They can do all sorts of crazy stuff. Okay, 49. Whereupon I ascended from the furnace and stood before the sovereign and his counselors, who examined me closely. But behold, even my hair was not singed. Wherefore the sovereign caused garments from his own wardrobe to be brought, and I was clothed therein. And he caused me to be seated upon a throne at his right hand, where my father used to sit. And he said to me, "What of Haran, thy brother, who was cast into the furnace with thee? Did the messengers carry him away to some far place, that he might be saved?" But I replied to him, "Nay, but the faith of my brother was not perfect in the Most High Elohim. Wherefore he was consumed in the flames." Upon hearing this, the sovereign marveled, and permitted me to speak in his court concerning the Most High Elohim, and the redemption which should be wrought in behalf of those who believed on his name. Nevertheless, the heart of the sovereign was not changed, for he gloried in power, and he thought to learn from my power by permitting me to speak. But about 300 men of those who sat in the sovereign's court were converted unto Yahuwah, and followed no more after the evil order of Nimrod. Wherefore they were cast out of the sovereign's presence. But as for me, the sovereign gave me many gifts, and sent me away in peace, and many were joined unto the believers in Yahuwah from that day. For having heard of this my salvation from the fire, multitudes came to my father's house to hear of Elohim, who could do such mighty things, and many were converted to truth.
So,
Okay, we'll leave it at that. All right, there we go. Dun, dun, dun.
so this is the beginning of Abraham's riches. And Nimrod wanted more power, so he's like trying to figure out what his power was, but I don't think he got any more power from that.
Well, that's
He's like, so see, the other thing is you have to keep the Torah here, and Nimrod's like,
yeah. You got to be holy. You can't kill the kids anymore.
you actually have to have to worship one Elohim.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the world, right? Nobody wants to do just what we should be doing, and we always want to do else and outside of it. All right, so for everybody, we love you all. We hope you have a wonderful day. We thank you all for hanging out with us. We thank you for reading these scriptures. There is an Amazon place you can actually order just this book. This book is on Amazon. For every 10 books of the writings of Abraham that we sell, we're able to fund one prisoner scriptures into the prisons. And so if you'd like to help Boss Clan, you can simply do it by that. Order up some of these. Grab some Bibles as well at the pre-order. We are simply trying to get the best prison ministry that we can do that will self-fund scriptures. And this is the way that we've been able to figure this out. And so thank you to everybody out there. We love you all. Hope you have a wonderful day. We are out.
All right, shalom.